One of the things that we talk about when we're looking at home ownership and when clients are talking to me about purchasing and wondering, they're feeling financially stretched right now and they're wondering, is it really going to give them some opportunity to free up their cash flow? There's some hidden costs that come with home ownership. And those are the things that, I talk about with my clients. So when you're looking to purchase your home and you might feel you're already feeling strapped with your cash flow, sit down and take a look again together at where does the money really going? So what are you spending your money on? And is it necessary to be spending that? Or is it just you're not realizing what you're spending? So tightening up on your budgeting a little bit. Um, I'm finding clients are really being impacted by their cash flow. And the reason that they're being impacted by their cash flow is because of, especially when mortgages are coming up for renewal, there's a lot of outside debt that we've had to incur due to economic situations. And mortgage rates were so low 3, 4, 5 years ago that when we're renewing, we're sometimes looking at more than double what our existing mortgage payment is. And when I look at researching and I look at freeing up some of that cash flow, it's sometimes the best opportunity and decision to pull in your outside debt. So if you've got credit cards that are high interest, that are maxed out, or you've got credit lines that are revolving and you're finding yourself that you're just paying down on the interest and then revolving it back up to help your cash flow. And now all of a sudden you're going to have a mortgage payment that potentially could be double what you're doing now currently. There's a lot of stresses that come with that. So at this point, what I'm doing with my clients that are coming to me with renewal, I'm looking at the best way to consolidate all that debt for them so that they can free up cash flow. I had a client that I just did a renewal for, and she was going to be paying $5,000 a month on her mortgage, and that was without pulling in all of her other debt. She had substantial amount of different revolving credit with credit cards, with lines of credits. And when you pulled all that together, there was also another $1,500 in payments. So now she was going up to $6,500 in payments, where beforehand, prior to her mortgage renewal, she was looking at about $4,000 a month all in. So when we took it and we broke it down and we started to pull in her debts that she had existing and we pulled them into her mortgage and her mortgage renewal, we were able to eliminate that $1,500 just by putting it into her mortgage. And now she was paying $5,000 a month. That was her mortgage, and all her debts paid off to zero. The conversation does come up. Is that the right thing to do? Because of course my mortgage is going to be 25 years or 30 years, and it might be a 5-year term. Now I'm wrapping in, 30, 40, $50,000 in revolving debt that I'm going to stretch out over 25 years. Yes, on the immediate front in front of you, that is exactly what it looks like. But when you look at having additional cash flow and you look at what your options are and your flexibilities with the mortgage that you're in, with your new mortgage, you have the opportunities of making additional payments. You have the opportunities of making lump sum payments on an annual basis. So the cash flow that is freed up, when we look and we turn and we invest that in different areas and we start to build your savings and your emergency funds, that 5 years term that you've got, that you've added this additional money into, you can still pay it off in lump sums and additional mortgage payments, as opposed to if you just left it in your credit cards and you just left it in your line of credit revolving and only paid the interest payment on it. That is a never plan, and you are going to pay thousands of dollars on top of what you owe. So it does make sense at times, and we look at every situation individually, but there are times that it absolutely does make sense to consolidate that into your mortgage renewal. The other thing that I have had clients when we're looking at purchasing new homes, and clients have said to me, well, oh, that's great. I can afford that mortgage payment. Now, maybe the mortgage payment is $3,200, but I always make my clients aware and understand too, there's about a 2% overall closing cost that you have to keep in mind that covers off your property transfer taxes, that covers off legal fees. There may be appraisals and things like that. Those are some of the hidden costs that people don't often think about right at the top off their mind. And understandably so, because they're not the experts in that. Their goal is to get a home that they can afford. So when we're looking and we're asking about, down payments, how much do you want to put of your savings up against your home as a down payment on your home? And we look at, are we looking at a high ratio mortgage or an insurable mortgage? Or is that going to be a difference of 20% down when we're looking at a conventional mortgage, which potentially could be an insurable mortgage as well? Sometimes that 20% down doesn't always make sense because you don't want to leave yourself tight at the end of the day, that once you paid your down payment and now you go to pay your lawyer or your notary to sign off on all your documents and your property transfer tax, you don't want to all of a sudden be having to use some of your revolving credit to pay off some of these expenses that weren't laid out in front of you. So those are some of the things that I hear my clients saying, and like they're excited about getting the mortgage. They're excited about their pre-approval. And so they should be, but I have to also put the brakes on and really clearly and be transparent to them. What are those additional costs that are going to come up? And what do you need to expect when you're doing these purchases so that you're not blindsided and that you're not taken from this wonderful, exciting feeling of, I finally have my own home, a place to call my castle, to plant my roots, to, oh my, I've got this home, but now all of a sudden I've got an extra $4,000 that I didn't account for because nobody sat down and told me what it was going to cost me to do all my closing costs and potential with appraisals and inspections and all those other little things that are necessary to protect you, but also really warrant the expenses to get you into that home. But I always make sure that my clients are aware of that, because there are many times that I've heard clients they're surprised by it. And that's because they've never had to go down that road, especially our first time home buyers. So that's where some of the pain points are. Some of the pain points are the overall costs. Some of the pain points are, the economy has not been great and your mortgage is up for renewal. Or you've got two properties and they might both be coming up for renewal at this point, and one might have more equity than another. So how do we look at putting those together so that, again, we free up your cash flow? You're not having two separate mortgages that are costing you double the amount just because you have two different properties. So we can leverage the equity in one property to free up the other property, which is going to, your payments may be less than doing two separate mortgages. So looking at all of that kind of stuff and the complexity in all of that is, so important that you work with someone who can break it down for you and explain it to you and be creative in what the solution is. It's not a cookie cutter solution. Every person out there, every business out there, every development company out there will have different situations or different strategies that need to be looked at. And that is where I'm different as a broker. I will break that down. I will talk to you. I will make sure if I don't have all the answers and I need to bring in a partner to find a different solution because of the complexity, I will definitely do that. I am not just going to put you in a cookie box and say, well, you're the same as the last person I talked to. So individually, I will treat you as an individual and make it work for you.